So last night I ended up scoring this PC pretty cheap. The case is cheap, but I got this PC with motherboard. It has everything. PSU, motherboard, CPU, RAM, SSD. It just didn't have a graphics card, so I also scored this graphics card. Well, I got that last night. I got that cheap last night, and I got the graphics card pretty damn cheap this morning or this afternoon. It's a GTX 1660 Super, and then I went and bought this brand new, just one fan, a blackout. That's all I needed. And when I open this up, you'll see why. Because there's no glass on this cheap case, and the only place to mount a fan is right here for an intake fan, and then you have your exhaust fan back here, which is already installed. But I can't trust anything the sellers did. I have to pull it all apart, and you're about to see why. You can see the installation that they did sucks. The wires are everywhere. They're a mess, and I don't even know if the wires are even in the right place. But they said they couldn't get it to boot. It wouldn't turn on, and their guess was it's a bad power supply. And I'm pretty sure this power supply is not one of the great ones you can get, but I'm gonna run my power supply tester on it and see if it's the power supply or not. But I'm gonna take this whole thing apart and reassemble it, because I can't trust anything they did right now. I'm gonna make sure the CPU was seated correctly and nothing's wrong with it. I'm gonna repaste it, all that stuff. I'm basically gonna redo the whole thing, the whole build, because I can't just leave it the way they gave it to me. Because if it's not booting, I'm not gonna go with what they did. Yeah, so I'm gonna do a complete disassembly, and it does have a little SSD in there. I'm guessing it's probably a really small SSD as far as storage goes, and I might have to actually upgrade that. We'll see. But yeah, that's where we're at on this PC. I'm gonna finish taking it apart. In the back, we don't have much room at all for cable management. All you basically got when you remove this is this dent here. So whatever wires can fit in this dented area, this popped out area, whatever you can fit in there, because when you open it, it's completely flat. So now removing that, now you can see what I mean. There's not much room for any cable management. I mean, all the wires live in here anyway because the damn PSU's in there. I don't even know if anything's meant to be back here, but I'm gonna try to route things from here. Try to see if I can center them in here, and then route them back in through these, and try to clean it up in there. That's how I'm gonna try to do it. So I'm gonna try to, like I said, pull them out here and route them back through here, and see if that makes a good difference here. We're gonna clean it up, make it look better as best as we can. But first things first, I'm gonna disassemble this thing and test that power. I got the power supply pulled out, and we got it plugged into the wall, and I'm gonna use a power supply tester to test it. So let's start the test and see if this thing, see if this thing's so here we go, correctly. Everything's connected. I didn't connect the SATA connectors, but I connected the 8-pin and the 24-pin, and I turned it on already, so I kind of cheated. So it's not the power supply, you'll see. I turned on the power supply, and everything was rocking and rolling a second ago. Wow. Okay, so we are having an issue with the power supply suddenly. Let me try that again, because right now it's alright. We'll try again with just the 24-pin connection. I guess the power supply is shot. Oh no, there it goes. Look. See it spinning, and it's showing on the power supply tester. It's hard to see. It's showing 12.4 volts. I know you want to see, baby, but you can't see. But it's also showing some other data on the plus 12 V2. It's showing, it looks like an point L. I'm not sure what that is, but I gotta check it. I'm not used to seeing that like that. Maybe it's part of these other connectors, but when I connected the other connectors with it, it's like it shorted out, like it didn't want to work. Watch. I'll turn it off. And then I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the other one, and you'll see it's probably gonna fail. We'll go again with this iffy power supply. Yep, and see, it doesn't turn on. I connected the 24-pin, and then I connected the two 4s, the two 4 pins together. This is the one that when it's plugged in was having a failure, was the 8-pin here. This is just a whole 8-pin. We're not using that one because this motherboard is only a 4-pin. It's an ASRock B550M VDH, something like that. But let's turn this on and see if we even, yeah, see. So this one turns on, and now we're getting proper readings everywhere. So that plus 12 volt 2 was the second one. So I'm not sure whether to trust this power supply. I know there's a power supply tier list, and I'm pretty sure this brand is on the low end. It's like on a D or C level. It's not an A or B, but it's working. So the people that had the PC to begin with, they said that the power supply wasn't working or they couldn't get it to boot. So I'm guessing because I got the power supply to work, it's not the power supply. It has to be another issue. We're gonna find out. I just think maybe they didn't connect it all together right. But that's what's next, is pulling that apart. So now you can see even one of the 4 pins by itself, with the 24 pin, is delivering 12 volts. Everything looks okay. Other thing I want to do with this GPU right after I get this PC reassembled is pull this GPU apart, because it's already been disassembled. There's no sticker on it. Somebody's cracked it open already. And on top of that, when I bought it, this plug was not properly plugged it back in. I had to plug it back in while I was sitting in the car. So somebody pulled the plug on it or disassembled it and didn't know what they were doing. And so yeah, I'm gonna have to pull it apart, make sure it was properly pasted in there or handled, that there's nothing else is hopefully there's nothing else that I need to worry about in there once I open it. So some more somewhat bad news. I was trying to get these screws out and I hit every single one of them trying to open them. It turns out this guy I got it from, he screwed this thing in like his life depended on it. I can't get these screws out without stripping it. I don't know what the hell he did, so I'm gonna have to disassemble it from right here and reassemble it from right here, because I don't want to risk stripping these screws. I don't know what this guy did. I don't know if he glued everything in or what, but down here I can't break the tabs loose, but up here I was able to break the tabs loose on the RAM. Jeez, hopefully I didn't get screwed on this build. I gotta hope that these things still work. So I got the RAM out. I was freaking out a little bit. These two don't come down. You just set it in on this corner first, click it in on this side, and then close it on that side. That's how this motherboard works. It's a good thing I didn't try to force out or broke the motherboard. So let's get the CPU fan off and get the CPU out and see what this looks like. I'm also going to go to the store and get a brand new CMOS battery, because if you recall in my old video, the PC wouldn't boot and it was just a dead CMOS battery, so I don't want to have that issue again. So pulled it out. CPU came out, of course, because it's got thermal paste on it, but no bent pins. So, oh my goodness, am I glad to see that. I was thinking this thing was going to be mangled in there. But it sucks it came out like that. Just pulled right out of it. So we got a little bit more bad news. It's actually a Ryzen 5 5500. They advertised in their post that it was a Ryzen 5 5600. There's a difference there between the 5600 and the 5500. Yeah, but it is what it is. I guess on this build so far hasn't been turning out all that great, but we're gonna turn a lemon into lemonade. Yeah, so this thing's already got some downsides again. This is a little 256 gig, which is pretty worthless in our times. I'm gonna have to do something about that, get rid of it, and upgrade to at least a ½ terabyte. And this thing needs some form of Wi-Fi. I was gonna get a Wi-Fi adapter or a Wi-Fi card. I'm not sure yet. And a new CMOS battery, so there's still more expenses, and that's if the motherboard is even still. But as long as we take for granted the motherboard is good, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, well, there it is. Luckily we got it all disassembled without any damages. And I'm gonna get a new CMOS battery for it. I'm gonna assume that one's bad because they said it wouldn't boot, but I'm also gonna assume that even if this was good, they turned around and didn't connect any of the wiring right, or weren't, just something went wrong because they couldn't get it to turn on. So So yeah, so either that or it's a bad motherboard. But I'm praying it's not a bad motherboard because this thing is like glued into this thing. So yeah, that's how it is right now. So I got the CPU reseated. I can't. The CPU had the edge on the edge. It had like 3 pins bent, so I had to straighten them back out. They were just slightly bent, nothing major, but I got it reseated, and then I'm gonna put the RAM back in, and then I'm gonna put the rest of it away. I gotta wait till Sunday to pick up where I left off because the remaining parts, the SSD and then I'm gonna replace the CMOS. I got those, but the oh yeah, and the Wi-Fi adapter, those are coming Sunday, so I'm just gonna pick up where I left off on Sunday with this thing. And yeah, that's that. I'll show you the CMOS, the CMOS batteries. I got 2032's brand new Energizer. But yeah, I wanted to wait with the SSD so I can check the 256 SSD that I bought this with and see if it's brand new, like blank, or if it's got a copy of Windows on it. Because hopefully it's got a copy of Windows on it so I can clone it to the new one. And the new one's only half a terabyte, which is the norm for nowadays. I mean, you can't go with less than that. You wouldn't even be able to probably download a game with the operating system running on the same one. But yeah, that's the boat I'm in, so I'm gonna just wrap it up. There it is. I cleaned up the RAM, and then now I reseated it, so everything's good until then. So that's it. Here's the update. I received the parts that I ordered from Amazon. We got a half terabyte NVMe SSD M2. That's the one it's going to replace. That's the one that was in the PC I ended up getting cheap. This is the new one, of course. And then I got the SSD enclosure or heatsink. And I got new CMOS batteries for the motherboard. Just one, of course, we need. And then I got a Wi-Fi adapter. Because the motherboard on it right now doesn't have Wi-Fi. I didn't get a Wi-Fi card. I just got the Wi-Fi adapter here. Here we are back in the familiar place. Like I said, I'm gonna take apart the GPU. It's a GTX 1660 Super. I'm gonna take it apart and make sure that it was repasted properly and nothing is broken inside. Because when I bought it, they had the wire disconnected. That's probably why they give it to me cheap, because they probably couldn't figure out after they disconnected that wire when they put it back together. They probably couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. But yeah, let's see. I'm gonna start with the Arctic MX6. We're gonna go ahead and repaste the CPU and put the CPU cooler back on. It's just a stock Ryzen. I forget what they call those. But you know, the stock Ryzen cooler. We're gonna put it back on. There we go. The mysterious pattern seen in nature. The mysterious pattern seen in CPUs. Just kidding, yeah, we got that. Now we're about to mount it. So I put one of those red ties on it for the red team because the AMD CPU anyway. I didn't have black anymore to match, so yep. There it is. I'm gonna install this fan here on the, that's the only places you can put a fan that has an intake is on the case cover. I do have I do have an extender where I can link each of these fans, because this is the exhaust fan, but this motherboard has 2 fan connections. It's got one in this area and up here, and it's got one down here in that area. And something about just keeping them separate instead of wasting this little tail here. Maybe keep it for another build. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The intake fan is mounted. It's got the wire. I'm gonna leave it I'm gonna keep them separate. So I can leave some slack on this wire, so if somebody needs to open up this PC, it's easy for them to open and then see the wire connected. So because I feel like if I shorten it up and someone opens it, they might not know and they might just pull it right out, rip it right out. There we go, brand new CMOS right there. So if this thing don't boot, we know the power supply works. We know it's a brand new CMOS. Then we know the motherboard is probably shot. They probably blew the motherboard and couldn't figure out what the hell. It's not completely timed yet, but I just put the dang USB Wi-Fi adapter here for the hell of it, just to get it over with. But yeah, moving on. So I'm trying to figure out cable management for these for the exhaust fan. And we got the exhaust fan plugged in and nice and secure. We're gonna move on and we're gonna do the SSD with the heatsink. We got the SSD with the heatsink installed. And now we're gonna, I guess, test the GPU, make sure the GPU can fit over that. Otherwise, hopefully it does. I mean, they advertised that the GPU could still fit with this thing in. We'll see. It's thermal, right? So everything does fit, but it's such a tight fit with the case because right here, that space between the motherboard and the case right there, in this area down here, I had to like pull the case out a little bit just so I can get the GPU to slot to slip down there and go all the way into the GPU slot. So it fits. Everything's good. But now it's time to repaste the GPU. As you can see, the GPU has been cracked. Oh yeah, about the SSD, I put it on my SSD enclosure, plugged it into my PC, and it had to be formatted and everything. It had nothing on it. It didn't have Windows, so I got to get a Windows key, you know, a dirt cheap Windows key. But anyway, this thing's already been cracked. When I got it, they tried to deny they ever opened it. Maybe they got it like that already. But like I said, the plug was unplugged, so it looked like they recently opened it and didn't put it back together right. And that's why they sold it so cheap, because they probably couldn't figure out why. It's like someone did open it and they did repaste it. So I'm just gonna clean it up and repaste it anyway since I got it open. I was thinking about just closing it like that, but I don't know what paste that is that they put on there. I probably could just push it to the center and then just close it and just reuse the paste that's already on there, because that's going to be hell to clean up. But they put so I cleaned it up as best I could. Now I'm going to put some MX6 on it. It's a little bit much, but it'll work. So I got the GPU in nice and seated, and now I'm working on getting all the front panel connectors in. And I just realized I did it backwards. I got the USB one connected over here. I know you can't really see it, but you can barely see it there. But I got to get the front panel and the audio and the HD audio and all that connected down there, and that's going to be tough. But that's next. Normally I do that before I put the GPU, but this time it didn't work out. So I turned the light on this time. So I got this one in. I had to take the GPU out just so I can get my hands in there and get the front panel connectors in. And I gotta put the GPU back in, which sucks. I should have done that before. So if you recall from my previous recording, the PSU does power on, but the problem is with the GPU connector, it shorts out. So I was gonna plug it in and externally. I was gonna plug the PSU in externally and see if the PC boots and see if there's power going to the GPU. And if everything works okay, then I was gonna install the GPU or the PSU. Otherwise, I know we need a new power supply. Bad news bears, I just use my power supply tester. It turns on when you plug in the 24 pin alone, and when you plug in the CPU, it's fine, but once you plug in the GPU, it just shorts everything out. It's broken. There's something wrong with this wire or this power supply, so I can't use it because I need all three. So I'm gonna have to go scouring the internet to see if I can find a used CPU or a PSU on Facebook Marketplace. That's gonna be the first place I This is the power supply I scored off of Facebook Marketplace. I already tested it with the power supply tester and it did work. This one is a 650 80 plus gold, and the price I got it for, even though it's non-modular, I got it for 20 bucks, which is a steal. I just got to clean it up, do some organize the cables and do a little cable management, then install it, do more cable management. I already tested it. All the wiring works on this, so this is the one I'm going to put into the build, and it's going to work good. It's going to be a little overkill, the power supply, because I believe a 400 or 450 is all you need, but 650 is going to allow whoever buys it to kick it up a notch. If they ever want to upgrade the GPU or the CPU and GPU, they'll be able to do that. Even though the CPU is not a big deal, the GPU usually is the big deal behind upgrading power supplies. So yeah, this is the one. This is how it came out. Let me turn on the light real quick. There we go. The cable management wasn't all that great because the power supply is mounted on top, which is trash. And then so I just used some red ties that I had for the CPU. Plugs both the power and the fan. And then we got yikes, I don't want to turn that the wrong way. The rest of the wires kind of just hanging out. I kind of try to stuff them in that little pocket here in this area. if I could, as much as I could, to try to hide them as much as I could, just to try to make it as clean as I could. And then on the back side of the case, that's what it looks like on the back, which actually ain't too bad. I can try to clean that up a little bit, but that's that exhaust fan, or I'm sorry, the intake fan on the case itself. I gotta plug that in, and then all that's left is to put it together and then boot it. Give it its first boot and see what happens. The funny thing is that they put RGB on a case that's just blacked out with no glass, so you're not even gonna see the RGB. So I don't know why they did that. They just wasted money there, but that was it. See how it goes. So there it is, all put together. Not the most exciting build, but it's got some decent specs for someone that's a first time gaming PC. You know, they want to get into it. But yeah, the Wi-Fi, USB, the power plug. I don't know, it's just all black. You know, most people that get into gaming PCs, they like to see all the lights everywhere. So I'm curious to see how quickly this one sells when I post it. But it's got some good specs, or decent specs. I think good specs. Like if it was a gaming PC, like a first time one, that I would, you know, I would want it if it was my first one, just to like get an introduction to gaming PCs to see if I'm gonna like it or not. Not too bad. All right, first boot on this 1660 Super with a Ryzen 5 5500. Let's see if it goes. Well, hold on, we gotta make sure the power's on first. All right, power's on. It's gonna be on the MSI screen. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. Let's see. I heard it. I got excited there for a second. We haven't even seen the screen yet. Hopefully we get an image. I know sometimes it takes a minute to boot. Hopefully the MSI is still on. Let me see. Oh, the MSI I think is off. I don't know. Let me see. Or did I turn it off? There it goes. But hold on, let's see if it booted. I mean, my keyboard is on, the mouse is on. I don't see an image though on the screen, which could be the GPU. What if this GPU I got dirt cheap is bad? Let me see. Let me try to plug it into another display port. All right, let me try to plug it in somewhere else because that was all screwy. So the reset button works. So far, the issue is that I'm not getting anything on the screen from the GPU. So I'm gonna have to test all the display ports and the HDMI. If I get nothing, then the GPU is probably the best. So I opened it up. Everything looks okay. The problem is the MSI is searching, it looks like, for a signal on the screen because it flickers off and on. It says DP, no signal. I usually use DisplayPort. It looks like this is on. I guess two possibilities here. Either the motherboard, because the GPU is on. The fans are spinning down there. I could touch it with my fingers and the GPU is on. There's nothing going from the DisplayPort out. Kind of weird. This light's on here, this power light. I don't know if you can see that. It's got me a little worried because it's red. I'm not sure how that should look. There's a little blue light here on the side. I think that's just, you know, from inside of here, it's supposed to light up a little bit. I don't know what else to do. I'm gonna keep trying to troubleshoot this and see if I can get the screen to turn back on. The MSI ain't liking it right now. The thing is the MSI is not even giving me my own screen. I might have to just put it on my other screen and just not use the MSI for a second. I think the MSI is a little too sensitive sometimes. Let me see. I'm gonna try to switch it out real quick. Yeah, because I'm having issues with the MSI real quick. The MSI usually works fine, the screen, but for some reason, let me try to switch it with the other screen and see if that one gets because that one seems not to be like playing around. The MSI is like turning off and on. The MSI, this one did the same thing when I turned it on. It cycled HDMI 1 to display port, no signal. So I'm gonna try to switch to HDMI, see what happens. Again, this time HDMI, let's see. Kicks on. Exhaust fan, everything's turning on. Still no damn screen. Everything else turns on, the keyboard, the mouse. Everything's on except the screen. The GPU fans are spinning. We're just not getting any output. What the hell, man? This is bad. So, no output in the GPU. I don't think that could necessarily be a motherboard thing. I think it's definitely the GPU. It's just a bad GPU. I got the GPU cheap, so I guess that's what it is. You know, I got it cheap, and those people are basically sacks of it because they sold a broken GPU knowing it was broken. I'm sorry, whatever. Yeah. So I ran the test again on both monitors. They both cycled through DP and HDMIs, no signal on anything. So yeah, this GPU is definitely shot. Yeah, so I guess the best test I could do before I start reporting people on Facebook Marketplace for selling broken GPUs is to try this GPU either in my rig or in the other rig that I got going on right now, and see if it even works. You know, because if it works in another rig, then I know it's something with this motherboard. This is a PC I got on Facebook Marketplace just yesterday. And it does boot. Everything works on this one. I haven't been able to validate the GPU. It's supposed to be a 3060 Ti. If it's a 3060 Ti, I'm going to swap it out. And I'm going to put my 3060 that I have in it, and then swap it out with the 3060 Ti. But right now I'm doing a reset because it came password protected. And I don't know the password. So I had to do a Windows reset without having to log into Windows. Yeah, so that's what I'm going through right now. It already has Windows, which is great. And then I'm gonna validate the GPU on it. And if I can, I'm probably gonna keep this one because it's a 3060 Ti. It's a little bump up, better than the one I got. So, yep. The only thing I don't like is this one's a gigabyte. And the one I have is an MSI because my PC is an all MSI build, but I'm thinking about keeping this one because the people that sold me this, they said that this was a pre-built, and it's not. It was a pre-built, but it's been swapped. The motherboard was swapped so far, and the CPU is an i7 8700K, and we'll see if the GPU even checks out because they didn't know what it was. It's definitely not an MSI pre-built anymore. You know, they took that and converted it into whatever they built. But I'm gonna try to see if I can save it and make a little bit of money on it. So I try to give it one more shot. That's what I'm gonna do before I test this GPU on a different PC. What I did was I cleared the CMOS, the little tabs down there is a little clear CMOS. I used this to make contact on both sides of the pins. And then I reseated the GPU just in case to make sure it was all the way seated properly. And then we know the power was on right, but this could have been not seated all the way correctly. And then I went ahead and reinstalled it. So Oh yeah, so yeah, that's basically what I did. I'm gonna try that first, and if this works, then it just wasn't seated properly, or maybe CMOS needed to be cleared. So I'm rerunning the test. I put that graphics card into this other known working PC that I'm working on right now. So this PC needs to, you know, this is a different type of build. It needs how do you say that? I forgot to put the power on. I just tested it though, the graphics card. Okay, now it's on. So this PC, it needs to be refurbished basically. But what I did is I swapped the GPU on it because it's a known working PC. Everything's good. The CPU's good. The RAM's good. The motherboard's good. Everything's good. And what do you know? We get booted, right? With that graphics card, that 1660 Ti Super. And so like that was my indicator that the graphics card turned out to be good. So somebody didn't scumbag me on Facebook Marketplace and sell me a broken GPU. Turns out that there's more issues with the PC that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace than what I know. So it's either a bad motherboard slot for the GPU, or just a bad motherboard, a bad CPU, or bad RAM. I mean, the list can go on why we're not booting. So I'm gonna have to try to troubleshoot that. I'm gonna run another test. So I put the GPU back in here. The next test I'm gonna run is a RAM test. So I took out that RGB RAM and I just put one stick of knowing working RAM in here. I'm gonna test both slots too and see if it boots. Hopefully it's a RAM issue because I'm hoping it's not a CPU or motherboard issue. Here we go, testing it again. This time with one RAM stick, the known working RAM stick. Let's see if this thing turns on. It did turn on, but I don't know if it's gonna boot. It is on DisplayPort. I'm guessing the way it's working right now, it's likely not the RAM. It's likely the CPU or the motherboard. I'm looking for the plug right now. I'm not getting anything. Let me try to plug in the keyboard and mouse and see if those lit up yet. Yeah, so I restarted the monitor just to see if it picked it up. The mouse is on, so yeah, it's failing to boot. It's failing to post for some reason. There it is, DP no signal. And, you know, it worked fine in the other PC, so my guess is that RAM is good. It can't be the RAM, the CPU. The CPU is the issue. So I gotta either find a new CPU or a new motherboard. I don't know, we'll find out. So here it is again. I switched the RAM to the first slot instead of the second slot. And if it doesn't post here, then it's definitely moving on to the next. Likely I'm gonna try a CPU next because the more research I'm doing, it's likely either the motherboard or the CPU. There's only other two possibilities. And I'm thinking there's a chance it could be that CPU. And so far, you know, looks like this build didn't quite check out yet. I was hoping that this build would be minimal cost, and this build is just getting a little more expensive and a little more expensive and a little more expensive. Yeah, it's not gonna post. Time to move on. Well, at least we know the RAM's here. We are back to that MSI pre-built, or supposedly pre-built, that I got from Facebook Marketplace from this seller. It has real glass. It has the MSI pre-built case, but everything else has been swapped out from what I can tell. Like everything was swapped out. The GPU I already took the GPU and the RAM out, and then because I was testing them and using them on my rig, and then I'm likely gonna keep those ones and then put my old RAM and my old GPU in this one. But everything else in this one stays. It looks like they didn't even use any SSDs on this board. Yeah, it's just It's them old SSDs. It's not NVMe SSDs. You can see one of them right there. But I might have to put an NVMe SSD on this thing and then clone it from that one, maybe, if I can, if I'm able to, because that one, I believe it's that one that has the copy of Windows on it. But this thing is filthy. You can see it, you know, all caked up. Everything's just disgusting. But I'm gonna blow this thing out and then keep disassembling it and make it like new. And I want this thing to look almost new, you know, nice and refurbished. And so I'm gonna take it completely apart after I blow it out. That's my next step. Take it outside, get my trusty blower, blow it out, and then I'm gonna put my old 3060 in it, because the one that I have now is a 3060 Ti that I took from this one. I'm gonna keep that one for myself. And the RAM is the same. It's Corsair Vengeance 32 gig kit. That's the same thing I had on mine, except the one I had on mine was a CL16 and this one had a CL18. But I took the CL18 because it has a higher rating of 3600 instead of 3200, and I wanted to run it, even though it's CL18. I wanted to run my PC at 3600, and you know, it's kind of, I already bought the rig, so basically it's mine. I could do what I want with it at this point. So that's what's going on. We'll see how this goes. It's been blown out. It's still, you know, it's still dirty. It's not as bad as it was because I blew out all the big stuff, but I'm about to start the disassembly, take it completely apart and clean it like in detail, bit by bit, and then clean up the case last, of course, and then put this thing back together, have it looking like new. So here's the 3060. It's a 3060 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM. And this is the DDR4 32 gigabyte kit but it's only the speed is only 3200. As you can see, that's why I kept the one that came with it, because they had the same RAM I have in the PC I got, but the RAM speed was, it's a CL18 with 3600 mHz, so that's why I kept it, because it's still compatible with my MSI motherboard over there, and it's but you know, it's gonna run at faster speeds, although it's CL18. It's been running good too, no issues, no nothing. And then I even updated the BIOS on my MSI motherboard, on my personal motherboard, to the latest version. I'm gonna do all that with this one, of course, whenever I turn it on, make sure that this one's fully up to date. So let's get going. That's what's going back in there though, the 3060 with the 12 gigs of VRAM and this DDR4 32 gigabyte kit. I was thinking about maybe using a different graphics card, looking online for a cheaper different graphics card, and reselling this PC within like a decent range. But that 3060 by now is like the bottom of the barrel. Like, not like, it's not a bad card, but I mean, like, as far as if you're looking for more modern GPUs, the 3060, the 3050 would be the bottom of the barrel, so you don't go like last gen, like the 20 series or 10 series or 16 series, things like that. If you want to stay out of that range, if you want to get with something more modern that the NVIDIA app supports, you're going to want a 30 series or higher, and that's what I mean. And so a 3060 for me is like the bottom of the 30 series. I don't want to go with a 3050. Unless I can score a 3050 dirt cheap, I might throw it in here and just keep this 3060 for myself as like a backup, or maybe for future builds, because I'm telling you, that 3060 right there with 12 gigs of VRAM is really good. It's actually better than I thought it was. And it kind of, because I put it, I'll go over here and show you real quick on my rig, because it's a gigabyte 3060 Ti. So it kind of throws off the whole MSI thing, because on my rig, I try to put everything MSI, or as much stuff MSI as I could, but it's all good. You know, it's all good. 3060 Ti, that thing's been rolling too. That thing's been rocking. It is, on gaming performance, it is a kick up from the 3060 12 gig. It does perform better. It gets higher frame rates and everything. Not a lot higher, but it's noticeably higher. Took out the Wi-Fi card just now, and there's the antenna. I took those off already, but there goes the Wi-Fi card. I'm just gonna attack this one piece at a time. Next, I'm gonna get the CPU cooler and CPU out. Pop the back off. The cable management sucks. It's got an 850 gold power supply, and it has two SSDs, old school style SSDs, which I'm not gonna keep it with that. I'll probably sell these two and put a NVMe SSD in it, and M2. But I'm gonna blow this out because there's some, like, you can see all the dust down there. Those little dust bunnies in there. I'm gonna get them out. So there it is, blown out. Looks a little better, a little bit cleaner. We're gonna do it up better than that though with the cable management, of course, when we reassemble. Here's the SSDs, both of them. The crazy part is this one. Okay, so this is the crazy part. They had this taped down here, so they had a piece of duct tape under it. They taped it down there, crazy. But this one was screwed in properly up here, so they probably didn't have any other space for it that they were thinking, you know, and they're like, man, we gotta just tape it somewhere. Pretty crazy. The CPU fans off, and look at that, nasty compared to this side. So I'm gonna get that CPU cooler off first, and then I'm gonna blow it out from this side so it pushes it all out that way. The CPU fans didn't look too bad, but that is nasty under there. I bet they bought this PC and started altering it when probably for a while ago. I don't know why they chose a pre-built case to house these parts in, unless this wasn't always a pre-built case. But the guy that sold it to me, he had a picture of this case on Facebook Marketplace, and he was advertising it as the MSI pre-built with this case. And I ended up finding out it wasn't the MSI pre-built. So I was hoping to buy a MSI pre-built, and that's not what happened. I ended up buying a custom PC with the MSI case on it. Not what I planned. Although I did still got this computer cheap. Hopefully cheap enough to get something. It is blown out. And then it likely has some pre-applied thermal paste on it, because that's what it looks like. But yeah, getting it done. Alright, so there it is, an i7 8700K. Everything's nice and clean. You know, so we're gonna pull, I'm gonna leave the CPU in the motherboard. I'm not even gonna try to pull that thing out or nothing. I'm gonna leave it just like that, nice and seated. We're gonna pull the motherboard and all these fans out next, and then the power supply, and start cleaning things up real nice and clean. Alright, so here it is coming along. Got everything unplugged, just gotta pull out the motherboard. The fan, I pulled one of the fans out, the exhaust fan. That thing is nasty. I'm gonna have to blow that out, and I'm getting ready to pull this top fan out. They have it so it's a second exhaust fan, but I'm gonna have it as an intake, so I'm probably gonna move it over to this side and have 3 intake and 1 exhaust. That's how I'm gonna set it up. Here we are, we're getting closer to having this thing completely disassembled. Yep. Next I want to take these fans off, these MSI fans, and then the power supply, and then get all these cables out, except for the ones that are for the case itself, and then start cleaning everything like new. I need to remove this and the power supply just to get that fan out. I don't know if you can see. Okay, there we go. That last fan out, because the screws are down there, and I need to get my hands in here. So yeah, here it is, fully disassembled, and there's a lot more dust to blow out, but we got everything out of it. All these fans are still caked, these 3 right here. And then it's gonna be time to blow this stuff out, and then I'm gonna wipe it clean real carefully, like brand new, and get all this old dirt and grime off of it, give it some life. So I did do some research though, and it's saying that the i7 8700K is gonna bottleneck the 3060, the RTX 3060. So I'm gonna do some more research and see if there's a graphics card that I can find that's cheaper, that won't get bottlenecked, but that'll have better performance. If anything, I can use the 1660 Super that I have, and then find another graphics card for the other PC when that one's fixed. For now, this is what it is. It's saying I could probably sell this 3060, you know, on Facebook Marketplace. I could probably sell it separately to, you know, privately. But yeah, it's saying the 8700K is a bottleneck. It's gonna create a bottleneck, and it's not gonna it's not going to allow the user to take full advantage of games with you know, a 3060 on an 8700 case. So I'm definitely not upgrading the CPU. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm just gonna go with what's here, and do it like that. I guess this machine is just a little too weak for that 3060. So update. I guess it depends on where you go when you do your research. No, not all information on the internet is equal, I guess, because I found a reputable source that states that an RTX 3060 would pair well with an i7 8700K. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna go through with it, and the only way we're gonna know how it performs is when we actually run it and see how it performs together, and see if there is any type of bottleneck, you know. So yeah, we'll see. Late last night, I waited till this morning to start cleaning all this stuff like brand new. Now you can see it, you know, the results of it. Everything's looking new. I just haven't cleaned none of that yet, but the GPU, what used to be mine, it's pretty clean. I'm gonna clean it again anyway, but I just gotta paste the CPU, put it back together. I'm gonna put a new CMOS battery in here. I'm thinking about just taking these 32 gig kit out and putting that 16 RGB kit in here that was on the other build. I'm thinking about swapping that out because I want it to match, and you're not going to see RGBs in that other case where they don't even, you know, it's kind of worthless to have RGB in there. The RGB would stand out on this build better because it's got a glass case. Here's the old CMOS. We're going to replace it with the new Energizer. Yeah, but there's the new 16 gigabyte kit we're going to put on here. XPG with the RGB from the other build. It just makes more sense to put the RGB on a case where you can actually see it, versus the other case is all blacked out with the black cover on it. You can't see nothing inside of it. So why the hell are you going to put RGB inside of something you cannot see? That's what didn't make sense to me on that build, or the way I bought it. So I'm still diagnosing the other build, but building two PCs at the same time this time. So it's a little bit, there's some crossover here, I guess, between the two, but we're going to get there. I'm going to take because this one's all PCIe 3.0, I'm not putting that 3060 in there. It's not going to take full advantage of that. So the research I found the first time that this setup would bottleneck that 3060 is correct. So I'm not putting that 3060 in here. I'm going to have to put an older GPU. So I'm looking for either the 1660 Super from the one I just had over there, or I'm going to put a 1660 Ti or a 1080 or an RTX 2060, something along that range in this one. That's PCIe 3.0 compatible. And then I'm going to get that M2 SSD that I bought for the other build. It's also PCI Gen 3. And I'm going to stick it on this one. And then I'll wait to get a Gen 4 for the other one, because the other one's a Gen 4. So we're going with our MX6. We are running low. Hopefully we have enough to just put it on here, and it'll do justice. But there's the new CMOS battery we put on there. And I like the way this build's coming along better, knowing that it's a previous gen. I might end up taking the 1660 Super from the other PC and just stick it in on this one, and then pricing this one as a you know, like basically a first time gaming PC for somebody. I'm sure they'll like it. I mean, with the 1660 Super and the specs it has on it, there it is. The rest of it smack in the center. It looks like it's going to be enough to squish down and cover the CPU. I got to get a new one. Here it is, coming along. Now I got to get the fans back on. I noticed 3 of the fans are Noctua fans. The ones that go on the CPU are Noctua too. So we're going to... It is M2 SSD installed brand new. I'm still going to install these other SSDs. I'm going to see which one has Windows on it, and I'm going to clone Windows to this SSD here. So that way, and make sure they're all properly partitioned. So that way, Windows runs off here and not off these funky slow. So here's the case, actually looking like a nice new case. I cleaned that thing good. I cleaned it real good inside and out. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting, even down in here, I cleaned it all good in there. So I'm gonna start putting the fans back in, so that way we can put the motherboard in after that. We are with the fans mounted. I put so like if you recall before, I had 2 intake, 2 exhaust. Now I made 3 intake, 1 exhaust. I think a case like this, there's more air flow in, and 1 exhaust fan is plenty. Yep, looking good. I just cleaned this so it looks a little wet on certain spots, but or a little damp maybe, but I just cleaned it. So I took out the bottom filter and cleaned it like new and then reinstalled it. But yeah, this needs a little more cleaning in the light. You can see it needs a little bit more cleaning. So far now we got the motherboard back installed. This thing's coming together. It's looking a lot better now that it's been cleaned up, and you know, I did some research on the parts, and I'm gonna make it more, I guess, generational correct. See how the Wi-Fi card back in, and it is a Wi-Fi card you would get off of Amazon. So yeah, still a good Wi-Fi card. I'm not dogging it. I'm just saying that when I got this PC off this private seller and he was trying to pass it off to me as MSI prebuilt, I should have gotten the hints. I should have looked to the motherboard first, because if I would have looked at the motherboard and seen Asus on it, I would have rejected it. I would have rejected it. I would have told him I can't take it, and I wouldn't be in the mess on, man, with this. I owned it before the guy I bought it from. Anyway, there was a bunch of tape stuck down there, and I ended up getting that tape and then with some alcohol and a cotton swab, and just rubbed it till it came off. That's it. I don't know what the hell this thing is called, but we just put it back on, baby. I forget what these are called, but it's a way to, like, it's like a splitter. It's like a way to put more than the fans that your motherboard can actually accommodate, and put them all on one switch. And then you're not letting the motherboard power it when you have your power supply to power it. So it's pretty cool. I mean, so most all these fans except for the CPU fan is going to get its power from this thing. So GPU installed, all the wiring is connected. Of course, I got to clean it up a little bit and do some cable management. I still got to install those SSDs, and I don't know, 1660 Super right there. It's all Gen 3 stuff. Since it's a Gen 3 motherboard with Gen 3 everything on it, so you know, I don't have an anti-sag bracket, so I think this is going to do better here anyway. It's coming together. This refurbishing or rebuild is almost complete. Got the power supply in, and we're getting ready to do a little cable management before we get the rest of the power supply connectors in, because this thing's a mess back so it's not the best cable management in the world, but it's doing its thing, you know. I want to do it like that guy does it. I know everybody knows what I'm talking about on social media, where he just zip ties the shit out of it. It's flawless. This ain't it, but it's a work in progress. This thing looks way better than it did before. There it is, back cover installed. And that's how you know someone did a decent job, because there's no damn bulging on the back cover. And there's the front. Ah, look at that. This thing's mint again, like brand new once again. Everything cleaned and looking real good. We about to boot this thing. Here we go, first boot on this rig. Let's see how it came out. Oh wait, I always forget to turn on the damn power. The damn power supply, there we go. Oh. All right. Oh, dun dun dun. Am I not pressing it? Am I pressing it too hard? Huh. So last time it booted up right away. I must have the front panel connectors off. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check the front panel connectors because it worked before, so I must have the front panel connectors crossed over or not. in the right place. Here we go again. Now let's see if this thing boots. But make sure the power supply is on. Yeah, we're gonna boot this thing together. Come here. All right, let's see. Oh, there it went. I guess I didn't hold the power down long enough. There we go. So you gotta hold this thing down. Huh. Oh, no you don't. Okay, so maybe that was just user error. I thought I had to hold it down. The power. There goes everything. Let's see if we get a boot. Ooh, yes we did, baby. Are we going to Windows? Where are we going? Press F1 to run setup. Alright, press F1 to run setup. Let's see. Boom. Alright, so right here we're in BIOS. I'm gonna have a look around and see if it's booting or if the boot order, if it's gonna, I don't know what drive has Windows on it, that's why. So it should be that Samsung 1 terabyte, the first one showing right here. That's the one that it should be booting from. The M2 is saying NA, it's not showing it. But I don't know, I'm gonna load optimize defaults and then save and restart, and hopefully that will take us into Windows. So let's see if we go into Windows this time. It looks like it wants to go into Windows. Not too bad. I'm glad I put that RGB kit in this PC. There we go. Now we're going to Windows, because at least you can see the RGB kit, at least in this setup, versus the other one you couldn't see it. So here we go. I'm in Windows. What I want to do is set this PC up and make sure it's up to date, but I also want to clone whatever the Windows and everything that's on there, which shouldn't be much. It should just be basically the operating system and a few other things. Clone that to the M2 SSD and then unplug the regular SSDs, these slow ones, and make it boot from the M2 SSD. And then the step after that would be to clear out and make sure the other two SSDs are clean, like completely wiped. And then I'm probably gonna keep the 1 terabyte SSD on here, maybe, or sell it, and I'll probably sell them, and then just keep the M2 on this thing, because everybody likes everything on the M2s on these. So we'll see. Let's just get going with by the time you guys see this whole process, this thing looks damn near brand new. That's how you turn the lemon into lemonade, bro. I'm the one. There it is. We made it to Windows. We're about to get this fully updated, and then, you know, put all the stuff on it to play games. But you know what? I love how we turned this lemon into lemonade. Came out very, very good. But we got to figure out how to go into the BIOS and turn on XMP, you know, things like that. We'll see how it goes. Here's the rig in the NVIDIA app. We just installed it with the latest game ready driver, and it's got our specs there. Of course, we can see them in Windows on Task Manager, but I just wanted to show it to the NVIDIA app. We got our GTX 1660 Super with our i7-8700K and 16 gigs of RAM. But we'll see that in the other one. And this thing looks pretty slick. I gotta restart it right now. So let's restart it, and then you'll see, so you can see what it looks like in the inside. Yeah, we turning lemons into lemonade for sure, bro. That's how it's done. I'm the one right there. So I got the BIOS fully up to date, and I got the XMP profile running. I went to the Easy Tuning Wizard in Asus's BIOS and used that because it's an Asus motherboard. And then I used you have to go to advanced mode to update the BIOS, and that's where I went to find that. So what's next is is to boot back into Windows. I already updated Windows. Windows is fully up to date. I put the Intel software on here to auto detect when there's Intel updates for the processor and the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth that's Intel on this PC. And then I went into the Microsoft Store and made sure all the Windows apps are up to date. And then I downloaded the NVIDIA app, and that's up to date. So basically everything is up to date on this PC. I also made sure that the NVIDIA control panel was up to date. So like, yeah, that's, you know, that you're supposed to open this and agree to the terms and all that stuff, just so you can open it up and start using your GPU. The NVIDIA app, or everything's up to date on here. So what's next is cloning. So I want to clone the regular SSD to the all this data. I want to move it over to the M2 SSD, and then force boot from the M2 SSD, and then remove that because the let me open up Task Manager. So this thing has 3 SSDs right now. It's got the M2 that I installed, but it had it has a really small disk on here where that has Windows on it, and it's this one right here, the Team 5. It's only got 224 or about 250 gigabytes, and this is the one where the operating system lives, and that's the one I'm going to clone. I want to clone that data over to the M2. That's not that one. It's this one right here. So this is the M2, and then this is the 1 terabyte Samsung. I'm thinking about leaving the 1 terabyte Samsung in the rig. Maybe I might take it out and just sell it and just keep the 0.5 terabyte M2 in here. Man, so like that's next. So I'm gonna get the stuff ready to clone. So I successfully got it to boot from the cloned M2. And then we can verify that right now. I took out the other SSDs, so you can verify it right there. I mean, you can look. If we go to disk management now, whoop, let it finish loading. All right. It does boot faster too. Windows boots a lot faster from an M2. You'll see we only got our M2 and properly partitioned and cloned. And then we go to Task Manager, and we can look at it from there as well, from the Performance tab. Whoops, this 0, and you'll see it's the 2280, the M2. So yeah, we got it successfully cloned. Now what I want to do is figure out how to wipe that thing. That gold one. The gold one has the old copy of Windows on it. I want to figure out how I can wipe it right now. Let's see. To do the cloning, I use Macrium Reflex software. There's tutorials online how to use that software to clone it. Here we are downloading Apex. Getting ready to test it out on this PC. Here we are revisiting this all black mini build. I took the GPU out of it for now. So I did more research, and we're gonna diagnose whether it's a bad CPU or a bad motherboard. So the way we do that is, it could be neither too. It could just be a BIOS update. So if this board was manufactured before the Ryzen 5000 series released, then I have to get an older CPU just to test it. So if this thing posts with this CPU here, which is a Ryzen 3 3200G, I believe. So it's got integrated graphics. It's a little dirty. I gotta clean it up because I just bought it off Facebook Marketplace just for testing. It's a 3200G, and we're gonna test. We're gonna pop that in here, repaste it with some XTM60. I got this at the store just right now because I needed it. I ran out of thermal paste, so I had to get this on the fly. It's about $15 at the store. But I've used this kind before, XTM60, this Corsair, it's good. But yeah, we're gonna pop that in and see if we can get a post. If we can get a post, then we're gonna do a BIOS update with the integrated graphics on. And then after the BIOS update, we're gonna pop this Ryzen 5 5500 back in there with the graphics card and see if we get a post. So that's the mission, because if we can't get a post with that Ryzen 5 5500, even with a BIOS update, or if I turn this thing on and find out the BIOS is already up to date, then we're in trouble. That means that Ryzen 5 is no good. So yeah, we're about to test that. So here it is. I just cleaned it so it's a little bit, you know, with the rubbing alcohol or the isopropyl alcohol on top. So it's just gotta dry, but you can see it clearly. 3200G. I know you can see it before, but now you can see it better. The guy I got this from said he was actually using it in his gaming rig, and he said even though the performance sucked, it still got him by. So I'm glad I scored it just so I can test this rig and get this thing going. Just noticed, see, I popped in the Ryzen 3 3200G, but I just noticed on this back corner right here, on this corner right here, this socket has an issue where you gotta kind of click it down to get it to sit. Normally you sit these CPUs on there and they just fall right in. You don't have to put any pressure. So these three sides all are fine except for this corner right here. You gotta like click it in, which is weird. But anyway, I seated it. I know this CPU I got off Facebook Marketplace, but if this thing doesn't post with this CPU, then I'm just guessing it's just a shot out motherboard. So here we go, we got that Ryzen 3 3200G on here. We don't have a drive, but that's fine. We don't need a drive, we just need a boot to BIOS. So if we can make a post to BIOS, then I'll worry about everything else. We are back in a familiar place. Let's see if this thing boots with a Ryzen 3 with integrated graphics plugged into the motherboard. Alright, here we go, I guess. Turned on. It is taking a long time. Says we got power, but we got no post right now. I'm getting a phone call right now, so I might have to turn this off and then come back. Here we have it, peeps. We got a post, baby, with the Ryzen 3 3200G, our ASRock UEFI BIOS. Everything's legit. Everything's legit. So our problem is likely the BIOS is out of date. So I'm gonna have to put Windows on this device. I'm gonna have to get a. This is gonna be to be continued because I gotta get another SSD, put Windows on it, and you know, do the whole dance and song so we can put Windows on this thing. And so I'm gonna leave a 3200G on here until we can update the BIOS, and then I'll swap it back out. Now, if I swap it back out after the BIOS update, then we know our Ryzen 5 over there is shot out. But that's it. So I bought these on Amazon. This half terabyte M2 SSD and this heatsink. The heatsink comes with like a sticker, so you can put that on like a sticker. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna leave it all blacked out because this is for the. It comes with thermal pads as well, but I'm gonna leave it all black because this is for the all black MATX mid tower that I was building. It's almost done, so I already downloaded onto a flash drive Windows 11, and I'm gonna put Windows 11 Pro on it. I already got a Windows 11 Pro key for it, and then now that I figured out what the issue is, and then I'm gonna try to after I install this stuff, we're gonna put Windows 11 on it. Then we're gonna go into the operating system, and we're gonna try to see if we can update the BIOS. And then we're gonna swap out the CPUs and see if the Ryzen 5 5500 is going to run or not. And if it doesn't run, then we know it's a bad CPU. I'm hoping it does run though, because it's gonna be more powerful than a Ryzen 3 You know what I mean? So we'll get it figured out along the way. I'm hoping it's just a BIOS update on that issue. Here it is already installed. So on this heatsink, to keep the heatsink from sliding back and forth, you got to use the 0.5 millimeter strip for underneath it, and the 1 millimeter one for the top, just so the thickness is enough to keep the top from sliding back and forth. Because when I tried it too smaller, it just the top kept falling off. Now the top won't fall off. It's nice and firm. So the case, which is kind of a cheap, dumb design, because it is cheap, but it costs the same as that Thermalright one on the other build, which the Thermalright one's a lot better, but this one is some off-brand, and it relies on the stickiness of the thermal pad to actually keep the top held in place, which is terrible. But as long as it stays held, and it's just got to sit there when it's bolted into the PC, and it can't come flying off at any point, it should be fine. It kind of clicks in, so it's got to slide all the way out to come off, but it just sucks that you had to get the thickness right to keep it from sliding back and forth. But yeah, I'm gonna get this installed and then pick up where I left up on this probably later on. Here it is. I think we're gonna name this one Blackout, because everything's just blacked out. There's no RGB anymore, nothing. So I just installed the M2, all blacked out M2 now, and the next step is to boot to BIOS and then install Windows 11 Pro. And install Windows 11 on this beast. I left it open because I'm not done working on it. I gotta put the graphics card back in there because right now it's got the integrated graphics, but I wanted to put Windows on it, update BIOS, and do all that good stuff before I swap out the CPU back to the Ryzen 5 5500, and then put the graphics card back in it. We'll see if it boots straight and starts installing Windows, or if I gotta change the boot order. We shall see. I'm hoping for it to be easy right now, you know, like to be an easy ride here and go straight to start the installation of Windows. Well, we'll see. Hi. And it looks like we're getting that easy ride. So I'm gonna go through and start installing Windows on this thing, and I'll pick up wherever it once I get that. So I already got into Windows, and then what I did was I saved the latest version of BIOS to the flash drive, and now I'm gonna update it. I did some research. It recommended using similar to like an Easy Flash tool. So now I gotta find that wherever that's at. Instant Flash, that's what it is. It said it would automatically detect the file. We'll see. There it is. Let's go to update. Yeah, let's see. Now we got that. It's updating the BIOS, and then what I'm gonna do after that is I'm gonna take the Ryzen 3 out of it, put the Ryzen 5 back in it with the GPU, that GTX 1660 Super back in it, and hopefully we get a post this time. Otherwise, if we don't get a post, then I know that Ryzen 5 CPU is trash. It's burnt out. It's done. But I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping this BIOS update solves the issue. We'll see. So here we are. We're gonna go back into Windows, and then I'm gonna just double check that I already know BIOS is updated. I went into BIOS right now, and what I did was, oh, my pin is no longer available. Well, all right, let me get back to you. We're right back in Windows. If we go to System Info, I'm gonna go there right now as soon as it loads. Well, I was able to load earlier. I don't know what the hell is going on right now. But system information. We should have our BIOS here. Where are we at? Yeah, BIOS version P390. Oh yeah, I gotta pick the phone up. So we'll go to, you'll see it up here. All right there, BIOS version date. It says American Megatrans International LLC P390 10/1/2025. That's the latest version of BIOS. So now that I did that, that's what's next on my list is to, before I get this system fully up to date and try to test it, is I'm gonna swap that Ryzen 5 back in there and see if we can get a post. So here we are back to this rig. I booted this one up because I got to make changes. So the little all blackout micro ATX I was able to fix so far. It's gonna be running either way. So I need the GPU, the little GPU, the 1660 back for that one, and I'm gonna put the big GPU back in this one. And I did more research anyway, and it was saying with the BIOS update, it gives this PC support for 30 series RTX GPUs, so that 3060 up there should work nicely. So we can get this thing to get us a screen. Oh yeah, I don't even have it plugged in. All right, we're back. So I'm gonna start the process of removing the drivers for this GPU. And then rebooting it and putting the 30 series GPU in there so I could use the 16 series GTX for the mini PC. So I'm gonna get going on that. I like to use Revo and installer for this stuff to remove all of the NVIDIA app with all the drivers and everything to swap. I removed the NVIDIA software that was on here, especially for the graphics driver. And then I went into the BIOS and loaded all the optimized defaults. And that's it. Now I'm gonna swap out the GPU. Here it is, the 3060 in it. It's a 12 gigabyte 3060 and it's the overclock edition. And you know, 3 fans. I think the only thing this thing's gonna need, because you can already see it pulling down on this side, is it's gonna need a GPU bracket, a GPU support bracket, which are cheap. They're usually like $10-15, but it's definitely gonna need one of those. Yeah, because this thing's gonna sag hard over time, just hanging on the edge. There it is, first boot with the 3060. Looks like a success there. Of course, we weren't expecting nothing less. But everything's off. Of course, I gotta reset the display back to 1920 by 1080. Everything's a little off here. And then I gotta install the NVIDIA app. Oh, I think it just reset itself. There we go. All right, make sure it's still at the 280 hertz refresh rate. There we go. All right, so for now, I'm gonna start getting these drivers back installed through the NVIDIA app, and then get the NVIDIA software back on here. I think all of it should have been removed, but yeah, the control panel I think was the only one I haven't removed yet, so I probably should remove that and then restart it, and then reinstall that as well. While that's restarting, I usually get the NVIDIA control panel, of course, through the Microsoft Store, so I'm just gonna reinstall it to the Microsoft Store, and then reinstall the NVIDIA app and get all the game ready drivers and everything ready. There we go. We got our NVIDIA control panel on, and then now it's time to restart and then put the NVIDIA app on. All right, here we go. NVIDIA app, getting the game ready driver. I want to do a clean install, so I don't mind if we optimize. I don't care if the NVIDIA overlay is on right now. Normally myself, I have it turned on. I'm gonna skip to app. I'm gonna go to drivers and click download. And as soon as it prompts us to install, we're going to do a custom install so we can do a clean installation. Let's see. It'll get to going right now. All right. Custom installation. And clean installation. And then continue. And that's that. When it's done, you know, it's going to prompt us to restart, and then we can run a test. So here it is on the My Rig screen in the NVIDIA app. We have our i7 8700K with a 3060. And the motherboard is fully up to date, and bringing it up to date, it states that it's able to support 30 series RTX cards. So we'll test it. We'll see how it rolls. Before we test it, what I want to do is I'm going to restart it, go back into Windows, then restart it again, and then go into BIOS, and then we're going to use the Asus auto overclocking features. That way it turns on XMP for us, and it'll give everything a little boost. It gives the CPU and the GPU a little boost, with the RAM a nice XMP boost and all that stuff. That's the one thing I did like about this Asus motherboard, is their BIOS is great compared to the other BIOS that I've seen. You know, it's a good they have good features in their BIOS. But yeah, it's time to do it. So I'm gonna go. So here we are. I forgot where I found it, but I know I had to go in the advanced mode. So I had to go into advanced mode, and it is somewhere around here. I think it's in the tool. No, it's not. That's not it. It was let me see. Let's look around for a second. I actually think it's the easy tuning wizard. So it's actually up here, F11, and it asks you your current configuration. You can just click next. And then scenario, we're going to do gaming and media editing because we want performance for gaming. And then our main cooling is a tower cooler. That's what we have on here. And then estimated tuning, you know, we're supposed to get an increase, a nice increase in performance, especially on our CPU. And then we click next. And it does say if it does go, if it goes unstable, we can just go back into BIOS and reset to default. But you know, back to load optimized defaults. But I didn't have to do that last time. I went through this easy tuning wizard with the. Oh, here we go. Here we go. That's where it notifies you. But I went ahead and did this with the GTX GPU, the 1660 Super, and it was fine. It was running good. So I'm gonna do it with this one. You know, it's the same CPU, same RAM, and you know, I don't imagine it's gonna become unstable. All right. And then I'm gonna probably run a game of Apex, cause you know, we're gonna run a game of Apex right now. Now that we're back in, you know, with the setup. This is gonna be the final setup for this PC before I list it for sale. I'm gonna put it on Facebook Marketplace. I don't know if I'm gonna put it on Java. Because everybody on Java right now is expecting sales for Black Friday, and I'm already not going to be making a lot of money on this, so I can't afford to be taking hits. So I'm probably just going to put it on Facebook Marketplace and just wait till it sells. So I was looking at this, at the task manager, and the CPU is running at a decent speed right now. The memory is our limiting factor because it's 16 gigs instead of 32, and when you turn on XMP, it's only at 2747. That does suck. This isn't, you know, the best RAM. I guess that could be an upgrade. that somebody else can do, where they can buy an RGB kit, a 32 gig kit, and maybe a 3600 kit, and then you know, we got our half terabyte SSD running on Ethernet, and then we got our 3060. So we do got 12 gigs of dedicated memory. So this is the 12 gigabyte version of the 3060. It's not the 8 gigabyte. So it's like the best 3060 you could get, basically, and it's the OC edition. So I use my more competitive settings. I'm not expecting this thing to pull the frames my normal rig gets, but I should probably put OBS Studio on here so I could do a live record while I'm playing, and because you can't hear anything, you know, from the phone. So probably do that with this because it's an i7. It's a 6-core 12-thread. You know, it is what it is. I mean, it should have enough to run OBS while I do recording. Real quick, so you can see the frames here. The frames I'm getting on this rig so far are about 170 to 180 consistently, and then here and there it'll peak over 200. Well, so I was back in the game. Spectate the rest of this match. So you can see the gameplay a little bit. Putting OBS on here is gonna slow it down pretty hard. But you can see the frames right here. It's getting around 230 just spectating, but when you're actually playing, you're getting around 180. You know, I don't know whose profiles these are, and so I'm gonna try to hide it a little bit, but I don't think nobody's gonna care anybody. Everybody's just gaming. But yeah, you can see the frames again right there. Yeah, they're chopping around the high 100s, low 200s, but yeah, I think the CPU and the RAM, especially the RAM, is the limiting factor. If you can get a 32 gigabyte kit with 3600 speed on it, it probably you probably have a noticeable difference in helping hold up these frames. But you really have a really big difference just upgrading the CPU. But I think you can only go like an i9 8th gen on this motherboard. I think it said you can try to do a 9th gen, maybe i7 or i9 9th gen, which is pushing it a little bit, but it said it should be compatible because the BIOS is now up to date, so it should be compatible with 8th and 9th gen. But the board was made for 8th gen. Maybe an i9, you know, the best of the 8th gen, an i9, the fastest i9 you can get, 8th gen, will probably have a noticeable impact on performance here. But yeah, our squad didn't do all that great, but I think we got 3rd place. But yeah, putting OBS on here and playing it's gonna slow it down big time. So I just wanted to catch that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just take pictures of this rig and post it online for sale. That was my performance on this game. Yeah, the guys they paired me with were terrible. I didn't even do that great, to tell you the truth, but for me it was just adjustment, because I'm used to higher frames, smoother gameplay. But this thing plays good. I think this thing plays like really decent, especially for a like if you wanted a first time gaming PC. This blows that type of thing out of the water. Like this is a little more than first time, but I think the performance, if you target the frames maybe at maybe 180 hertz or 140 hertz, 180 hertz monitor, and then set the settings to target the frame rate there, and maybe so it holds more, find a frame rate where it holds consistently at that speed, at that high, or at that high, and you'd probably be better off. Me on my rig, I'm used to getting 280 plus frames per second and getting a really smooth gameplay or performance out of it. So I don't want to put OBS on this and then do it an injustice, because the last time I did that with one of my builds that were an older gen build. I put OBS on there and it just overloaded it, and the recording was choppy. So I'd rather do it this way, so that way whoever's watching can see, you know, what it is, like a raw performance without a bunch of software overloading the CPU or you know, overloading the hardware. And but yeah, this is a good rig. I'm gonna post it on Facebook Marketplace ASAP. But I like it. I like how it came out. So like, let me exit to desktop real quick on this thing. Let's get out of here. But I like it. I like how it came out. It's real clean, like new. And yeah, I'm gonna take some pictures before I pull it off my desk and start posting. Here it is, kind of dark themey, you know, dark modey. Like because I like to play in the dark. This is how it would look on your desk if you bought it. You know, the RGB is not overkill. It's just good. I've made builds in the past where I RGB'd the hell out of them, just to see how it would look. You know, and they look pretty cool like that. But this one's not too bad. It still looks cool. It is now time to put the GTX 1660 Super and the Ryzen 5 5500 back inside of this mini blackout build. So I take the Ryzen 3 3200G or out of here, and yeah, then we're gonna boot it and see if it boots with the Ryzen 5. So there it is, the Ryzen 5 5500, and we're gonna put some XTM 60. Yep, XTM 60. And get it all ready. There it is, the old debate. Is it overkill? Who knows? We don't care. So here we are once again, the Ryzen 5 5500 with the GTX 1660 Super in a familiar place. Will it post this time? Let's here we go again. I already turned the power on in the back. If this thing doesn't post this time, we know it's a processor issue. Because the Ryzen 3000 series worked fine with the Ryzen 3. If this Ryzen 5000 series don't boot after we did everything we're supposed to do, updated the BIOS, ran tests, the motherboard is good. We did everything. Now let's see if we get a dang post. It's gonna take a minute because it's gonna gotta recognize the new processor and the new GPU, blah blah blah. But yeah, let's see. I do have it plugged into my MSI, which shouldn't be a factor here, any kind of limiting factor. It should be able to just turn on. It's gonna suck if we don't post, because it sounds like we should have been posted already. And we know the GPU works because we tested it on the other PC. It could be that the GPU slot on this motherboard is screwed too. It could be that, especially if we don't get a post. I should have just plugged in the GPU first on the Ryzen 3 and made sure the GPU worked. But here we are. Let's see. The lights are on the keyboard and the mouse. I don't know. We should be getting something. This thing started up loud. Fans full blast. Because I reset the CMOS real quick to see if that would help. So we know if the keyboard and the mouse lights to turn on and everything looks stable besides that, then that's likely a problem with the GPU slot on the motherboard. Because it works with integrated graphics, but if it doesn't work with a GPU, we ended up with a bad Bad board. There it went. You see it turned on there in the back. And look at, you see everything else turning on, but we got nothing on the screen. And I reset the CMOS, so I mean, that should have done it. I feel like getting this computer and just tossing it across the room and kicking it. I don't know. I feel like just getting a sledgehammer and just putting it to this damn build. I might have to just take this build apart and sell everything on it except for the motherboard and the case, and take a big loss on it. So the fans are spinning on the GPU. You can hear them. The GPU's on. Just nothing, no post. What a bummer. So plans changed. It looks like it's a bad motherboard slot. And the motherboard, if you recall, or when I edit this video and post it, you'll see the motherboard was like glued in. So I'm gonna take everything out and I'm gonna look at all the best parts of this whole build, and I'm gonna put all the best parts inside of this big MSI rig, and put the and then part out this one here and sell it for parts. And it's gonna be a break even on this one. So instead of making 2 videos for 2 PC builds, I'll be editing this as just one big video build where I try to buy and flip 2 PCs, and it didn't quite work out. It looks like I'm gonna end up breaking even on the little one and making probably a small profit on the big one, and it will make it hardly worth my time to have done this. So the RGB RAM though, I'm probably gonna swap that out, because this one has all black RAM, but it's 32 gigs. This one's only 16 gigs. So I was thinking about swapping the RAM out. I think that's basically the best of the two. That's basically boils it down, because the 3060 is better than the 1660 Super, and leaving it at that. It sucks it's got to be this way, but that's the way it is, I believe. I could put the GTX 1660 Super back in there, because it did seem like the performance was I don't know, I don't want to say better, but it seemed like the MSI looking, or you know, in hindsight, like the frames were more consistent, more steady, and higher, and held, even though they weren't higher, they were high, like if I recall correctly, in the high 100s, and they held more consistently, more steady with the GTX 1660 in there. But we don't know yet, because if I put the 32 gigs in here and then we run it with the 3060, we might get a better result, just because of the increase in RAM. I didn't really want to give up on this build, so I actually managed to get the board out after fighting with it. But after noticing that where a screw goes here, it was actually broken off right here. You can see it. So whoever had this PC before, they actually broke that off, and I didn't notice it until now. It's right next to the GPU slot, and that's the part of the board that's failing. That's, you know, it's not reading the GPU. Even though if I put the GPU in the other PC, it picks up on it. But as soon as I stick that GPU in this PC, it fails to read it. So the only solution is to get a new board. Got an update for this PC. I'm putting the RTX 3060 Ti, the Gigabyte, back in here. This is where it originally came from. I cleaned it up, everything like new, and I put it back in there, and I'm gonna give it a run. The reason is because it's got 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and I noticed in some of the things I do, like full stack software engineering and AI acceleration, And even playing a couple of games I play myself, I noticed that 8 gigabytes of VRAM kind of causes a little bit of a performance issue. It's not as smooth as I'm used to. So I put the let's go over here. I put the my MSI 3060 12 gigabyte back on my rig, and it's running nice and smooth again. I am gonna have an update for this one right here, because I know I said I was gonna part it out and just sell it in parts and break even, but I actually found a motherboard. If I can get the guy on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, to give me a solid deal on it, then I'm just gonna rebuild this PC with a new motherboard in it, and we are again. I decided not to give up on this PC. I ended up finding the motherboard and the processor for 30 bucks. Some guy just wanted to get rid of it, gave me a killer deal on everything. I couldn't figure out which part was wrong with the build, so I ended up just, I don't know what time, scoring a good deal. It's all Gen 3, but the GPU is Gen 3 anyway, so I'm gonna put this thing back together. I already know it's gonna boot. I'm confident because the guy, you just know, I know this stuff works. So I'm just gonna put it together. We're gonna boot it up, and we're gonna get this thing listed online already. But since I didn't give up, I was gonna split the PCs into 2 videos, but I think I'm just gonna keep it as 1 video. Right here we got a Ryzen 5 2400G. It's an old processor, an older one. That's why I know I was able to get it pretty cheap, but it's the one that's compatible with this motherboard. Got the motherboard installed nice. It fit pretty good. It's almost too big for this board. It barely fit. I had to take the fan out just to get it to fit in there. There it is. It just drops right in there freely. So the other motherboard definitely was damaged on the socket, because this one, it just easily dropped. Some things I did was I put a new CMOS battery in it, because I learned my lesson with that already plenty of times, and did all the front panel connectors before I put anything else in here, because I know those are going to be almost impossible to put in if I don't do it first. We installed the fan. Now we're going to put the CPU fan and the RAM next. The RAM's installed on slots 2 and 4 like they're supposed to be, and then next is thermal paste, and I'm going with the rest of my XTM60. Only got a little bit left. I probably got barely enough to put on this CPU, and as you can see, I barely had enough thermal paste for the CPU. Barely. I don't even know if that's technically enough. It looks like it. They say a pea-sized amount in the center. That's definitely more than that, but like I normally like to put be a little bit more generous, so that I couldn't, but that should be good enough. CPU cooler installed. Next, we're gonna move on to the Wi-Fi card. Wi-Fi card is installed, and it's actually a cool Wi-Fi card. It's actually made for the board, a gigabyte one. That's the antenna, and it screws in here. So I got a killer deal from this guy for 30 bucks. He really put the SSD back in, or put it in on this board. Next is the GPU, and then doing the cable management, and then after that we just boot it up and it's just ready to go. So let's see. GPU, and it just slid right in, no difficulty at all. Like the other one, I felt like I was fighting with it to go into the slot. This one just went right in like it's supposed to. And then next is the power supply, and then cable management, and we're ready to go. Everything, all the cables are up front because of everything. I already plugged everything in. It's just ready to get booted now. There's not gonna be no wires hanging out the back this time. I just gotta put everything back together and then boot it. So here we are. It's nice and buttoned up and ready to go. All I gotta do is boot it up and then update the BIOS and then test it on a couple games, maybe most likely just Apex Legends. It's the only game I play anyway. But I had to temporarily remove the GPU because the front fan, I had to plug that in down here first, put the GPU back in, and then close the case. But everything's nice and buttoned up, and we're ready to go. Wi-Fi antenna turned out really cool. It's magnetic, so like, you know, pretty damn cool. I was worried how that thing was gonna stay put. I was thinking about, you know, how to get it to stay put. I didn't even have to. That's a nice one. Yeah. We'll go again on this build. This is version 2 of it. I'm about to boot it. I have it plugged into the GPU too, so we should get a boot. There it goes, it turned on. don't know if you see the blue light in there, in here. Hopefully we get a post this time. I have it plugged into the GPU, so hopefully we get a post from the GPU, because the CPU does have a integrated graphics, but I didn't know if I should be booting into that first. We'll see how this thing goes. Oh, there was the mouse and keyboard. But here we go again, where we're not getting a read on this damn GPU again. And I know it's not the GPU because I plugged the GPU into the big rig and it worked just fine. So I'm wondering if it's a integrated graphics kind of thing, or what is it? But let me try to hit enter. Because so far it's not good. We're not even getting a post on the GPU. I could try to reset it. Is this damn box cursed? Let's see, because I know if I plug it into the motherboard, it's gonna post. So that's gonna be my next thing. If it doesn't post right here on this reset, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it into the motherboard so we can get a post, and then I'm gonna see if I have to turn on the GPU or do some kind of turning off the integrated graphics, and maybe try to see if it posts on the GPU that way. Maybe it's updates. But there's no way in hell this GPU is bad like that. Alright, I'm gonna do that. So here we go again. This time we're plugged into the motherboard, and I know it's gonna post. The crazy part is that the other motherboard posted when plugged into the motherboard with the integrated graphics on the CPU, but for some damn reason it doesn't want to post on the GPU on any motherboard. And it's the GPU, I know it. There's something going on with this damn GPU. Oh, wait a minute now. Maybe it's my monitor just giving me hell. Let me see. Could be this picky ass monitor causing issues. It's on HDMI, so it should detect it. Saying DP, no signal, but it's on HDMI. So there's no way in hell we made less progress. Yeah, it's not even booting on the CPU. Let me check the... So I checked all the fittings. I made sure everything was plugged in. Everything seems to be working okay. This motherboard is lighting up red down there. I don't know if that means anything. But we are not getting a post because I plugged it into this monitor, not that one, just in case to test it. And it's still getting no signal over here. Still getting no signal. Even if we switch this here to HDMI 1, it's still not getting a signal. And it's switching itself, looking for something, and it's not finding anything, so that's not a good sign. I mean, I was thinking maybe I had to give it a while on first boot, give it a couple minutes to kick in. But normally, 30 seconds, a minute is good enough. I don't know what this thing's taking. I'm gonna leave it on for a little bit while I research it. So I did manage to get it booted up on this monitor, but now I'm trying to get it booted on this monitor. It was with the HDMI and the GPU actually. So I plugged it into HDMI with the GPU. It eventually booted, so it's on HDMI 1. It should be booting here soon. And then it kept telling me that it gave me the message to reboot and select the boot drive. So I know that has to be part of the reason. We'll see how long it takes here to get a post, especially with the baby going nuts. I'll get back to you. What I get: reboot and select proper boot device, or insert boot media and selected boot device and press a key. Crazy. So let's reboot it. Let's see. I'm just trying to reset it and then hit the delete key and see if I can just boot to BIOS after that. So far so good. I mean, if we're able to get output through the GPU on this PC, then that's great, because on the other one I couldn't get any output through the GPU at all. So here we are, we're back in BIOS. I guess I got to reset to default and then pick the boot drive. We only have one damn drive plugged in here. Normally these motherboards that aren't this old, this one's a Gen 3 older motherboard, but normally these motherboards, these more modern ones, even the ones that are manufactured recently, they auto detect it, and this one's not. Get into Windows now. So I did I reset the BIOS, made sure that boot option number 1 was the SSD with Windows on it, and let's see if we can actually get into Windows. I got it to boot into Windows, and it's asking me to set up my password, and then I gotta probably fix the screen sizing and everything. All right, so here we are, we're doing a hard reset. So we're doing a factory reset because I took the drive straight from the ASRock motherboard and just stuck it in here with Windows already on it, and I think it's causing issues. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a factory reset right now with the drive in this PC, and let's see if we get a better result, because it's taking like minutes, like 2-3 minutes to boot up, and that's not normal. I was having issues with this PC. It was taking forever to boot to Windows. I tried doing a factory reset, it didn't work. It had the same issue, except this time it was worse. So what I did was I took out the SSD, took it to my other PC, went into the command line as administrator, and wiped it clean that way. There's tutorials online for that. Also, I had to go back into disk management and reallocate all the space, do all that, take those steps. That's also in the same tutorial. Reinstall it like new, and then I created Windows 11 installation media on a USB flash drive, and I'm gonna go ahead and boot this PC now. As long as we get BIOS, I already took out the battery, and then I reset the CMOS over here, and as long as we can get into BIOS, then we can run the installation media, and we should have a better result this time. Here we go again. Now we're booting it through DisplayPort on the MSI. We're gonna see how long it takes to boot up into BIOS. Now there's no operating system, it's on a clean SSD. It should start going in like a brand new PC to boot BIOS, hopefully. And we'll see what happens from here. We're trying to get there. We'll see if we do get there. Last time we were having issues, I'm just gonna let it be for a while and see if it just pops up, where I was having issues with it displaying through the GPU to the to any of my displays. So we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to boot to the Windows installation media. I had to go into so I finally did boot, and I had to go into the BIOS, and I had to do all the settings. So I had to do research for this board and see what I gotta change in BIOS to have it for Windows 11 settings turned on so it can boot with Windows 11. I think that was mainly the main issue, so I don't know, we'll see. It is kind of stuck here. Maybe it's trying to read that media there, but yeah, oh yeah, there it goes. I think it's going. So yeah, I had to go through like 3 or 4 different settings to get that set up to handle Windows 11, because that's what we're putting on here, Windows 11 Pro. So yeah, I'm gonna go through that process and hopefully we get better results. So we finally made it, and it's finally booting correctly. It's finally Windows 11 Pro, and it's looking a little decent. But every time I restart it, it keeps messing up the display settings. So I'm probably gonna have to go in there and download the driver for this thing. It takes a while. Sometimes it'll turn, the screen will start flickering and it'll readjust itself. But it keeps seeing right now it's on 1024 by 768, but that's not the correct resolution. It's supposed to be 1920 by 1080. So it's just something I haven't been able to fix. So right now I'm gonna try to install the NVIDIA drivers and everything. Here we go. Now I got the visuals and everything to display correctly, and all I had to do is install the NVIDIA app, the NVIDIA Control Center, or the NVIDIA Control Center app, and open both of those, and then do a clean install on the latest graphics driver, and everything went to normal. Now I'm trying to install the App Center, the Gigabyte App Center, and then see what updates need to be done there, and then update the BIOS. But on this motherboard, I've noticed you can't just update the BIOS to the most recent version. You have to go step by step to different versions of BIOS before you can jump straight to the top. Because this one has a 2017 F10 BIOS setup, which is crazy. The best bet has been just download Gigabyte App Center with the Gigabyte motherboard, and it gives you everything you need. You don't got to do everything manually. So I finally updated everything except for the BIOS. I went through the Gigabyte App Center, did all the updates there, put the NVIDIA app on here with the NVIDIA control panel. Now finally we're going to go ahead and do a BIOS update through the BIOS app that Gigabyte gives, because it said that you can run a BIOS update directly through Windows through the Gigabyte BIOS, this one. Let's find out. Here we are with this nightmare build still. I had to reset CMOS again just so I can get to the BIOS and update it after all those other updates. So this is the first update. This is F31. So online it recommends F10 and F31. Doing another update and then doing so I'm going back into BIOS right now, but doing another update with some other software, and then going from F31 to F40, and then from F40 all the way to the current version. It's crazy, but yeah, I'm on my way there. So the next step was to go from F31 to F40, and then after F40 I can go all the way to the newest version. So the issue I had was after it updated F31, it bricked, and I had to pull the battery out and reset the CMOS, and then turn it back on and go through all that drama until it booted back into BIOS. It still went to Windows 11 even though it's at default settings, but supposedly if I can make it all the way to F40 and all the way to the newest version of BIOS, the newest version of BIOS by default has all the settings that support Windows 11. That's why it's important to get there, because Windows 11 is what we're running nowadays, when there's no more support for Windows 10, and there's nothing but security vulnerabilities if you continue using Windows 10. So that's the reason why I'm stubborn about updating this BIOS all the way to the newest version for Windows 11. And most people are going to want Windows 11 Pro anyway. It's the best one to have. But yeah, that's why I have it open still. I have this dang thing open because I gotta, just in case it breaks again and I gotta go through all that drama again. But we'll see. We're 55% there. I hope it doesn't. I hope it just resets and it's fine. We'll see about that. Bum bum bum. The baby woke up, and here we go. Here we are. We're going from BIOS version F40 to F53, which is the most current version. That has Windows 11 support, 11% complete. Hopefully, as soon as this thing is done updating, we won't have any issues. We did have no issues this time. I did have to enter my BitLocker key. So I ended up when the motherboard bricked and everything got set to default settings. It said that something changed in the BIOS, and I had to get my BitLocker key. So I had to go into my Microsoft account, recover my BitLocker key, and then enter it. It's like a really long key just to get in. I had to do that every time so far. Every time I've had to use my BitLocker key. So I'm not going to show what that looks like because that is personal. You can do research on it, look it up on the internet. It's easy to find. You just got to make sure that I was able to log into my Microsoft account for my phone. So you see videos online about people making this big deal about it, that you can lose your Microsoft account if you can't get your BitLocker key, and you're going to lose your data, blah 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 blah. But I didn't have no issue logging into my Microsoft account from my phone, my smartphone, and getting my BitLocker key for this PC. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad. So here we go. This is the last time. Hopefully we got to go through this because I just updated to the latest BIOS. I'm waiting for this thing to kick on. So I found some article online when updating this BIOS that you have to hold the power key for about 10 seconds till it powers off. And then the second time you try to power it on, there it goes. The second time you try to power it on, I guess you hold the power key with the reset key at the same time for about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then let go of the reset key. It turns off on its own, and then power it back on, and it goes through this cycling. Right now it looks like it's stuck. So I don't know. We'll see if we get past here. Here I am with this PC. It's just stuck. It's stuck on the Gigabyte logo. It won't enter BIOS. It won't boot to Windows. It won't do anything. This PC has given me hell since I bought it. Nothing good has come from this fucking thing. I want to burn it alive, but you know what? I'm gonna leave it, and I reached out to Gigabyte support. We'll see when they get a hold of me, because it's all email transactions. I guess, you know, they don't want to deal with people on calls. They're probably closed this weekend anyway, but the baby's going nuts anyway. So I'm not dealing with this anymore today. I gotta wait for them to get back to me, because I'm at a spot where I'm stuck. I've done a lot of research, and after the research, nothing I did has worked. Everything is just, no matter what I do, whether it's removing RAM and using one stick, or removing the GPU, or doing anything, nothing's working. It's just, if I get here, it just stays stuck. This is it for this PC. I'm fucking done. Like, I've had it with this PC. So yeah, this is gonna be one video. It's gonna be a sad video. What I'm gonna do is just part it out and at least try to break even. I should be able to break even with all the parts, so I'm gonna just part it out, break even, and move on. I got the other PC. It works perfectly fine. I'm gonna put up for sale. And this one's getting parted out. I'm fucking done. I'm not messing with old ass motherboards like this ever again. So like, I think the problem with this is that it's too old, and then when you're updating the BIOS, it starts running into too many issues and locking up and failing to boot on all the. When it worked fine earlier, when it was on BIOS version F10 on this motherboard, it's you'll see it down here. It's a GA AB350M Gaming 3. You can see it down there. So it kept failing to boot. I had problems from the beginning, actually. Right when I started, if you watch the video, there was boot issues, and then there was loading issues with Windows 11. There's all kinds of issues with this damn thing, and even after I went into the BIOS settings, I made it a little better when I changed the BIOS settings to accommodate Windows 11. But even after I started updating BIOS, it just slowly went to hell, and it just never recovered. And I feel like, I mean, you know, most people want Gen 4 or Gen 5 anyway. Gen 3 is kind of hard to get by, and I know the other PC I have built that's for sale is a Gen 3 as well, which is fine. But I'm gonna sell that one because it works just fine. But this one I'm gonna sell. I'm giving it up for parts. And me personally, I'm never gonna mess with a Gen 3 PC again. It's gonna be Gen 4 and Gen 5 from here on out. So yeah, I know I sound upset. I am upset with this build. I put money into it to, you know, hopefully make a little bit of money out of it. I wasn't trying to be greedy, and this thing still failed me, even after switching the motherboard. So I am upset. I'm just gonna wait for Gigabyte to respond for now. If they don't tell me to do anything differently than what I've already done, this thing's getting parted out. I ended up getting another XTM60, and I decided to take the Ryzen 5 2400G, put it back right here on the ASRock board that was giving me issues. This is an ASRock B550M HDV. For some reason it wouldn't boot from here, so I'm gonna check. I'm gonna do you know, breadboard style, where I'm gonna put the PSU, just leave it like this, hook it up to the monitor, the power supply, and boot it. And it's gonna boot from here, but I'm gonna see if the issue was setting the BIOS setting to boot from a dedicated GPU as primary rather than from a internal, you know, an integrated GPU. So we'll see if that's the issue. Otherwise, this board is no good. The other board is shot, depending on what Gigabyte says, and this thing's gonna get parted out. So I've been here with this build before, where I actually just use the front panel connector temporarily, where I've gotten this one to boot and get us to BIOS here. Let's see what happens. Let me turn this off and on and see if we get a read on it. But yeah, there it goes. I think that's my monitor. But let's see if we can get to BIOS. See if we can get a read on it from the integrated graphics on this thing. Otherwise, I'll put the GPU on and see if it reads that. Still DP no signal. Let me try to unplug it and plug it in. I'll try to unplug it and plug it back in. And still nothing. We'll give it some time to read because it's probably searching through it. I could plug in my keyboard too, like a peripheral, and see if it lights up. Well, still nothing. Nothing from the integrated graphics on this CPU. When I had that Ryzen 3, I think it was a 3200G. And that one got a picture pretty fast. And this one's not picking up anything. So let me put the GPU back on and see if that's an issue. Maybe it's just my monitor being picky. I don't think so. Normally they say when all else fails, right? But let's see. And that was a problem with this motherboard too, is just it would never post. What are the odds that I get two motherboards that give me nothing but hell? I guess that's why you'll see most pro builders, they'll tell you never get a motherboard used. Ever. I was also just thinking, what do these two motherboards have in common right now? Besides both of them failing to boot all the time. They had this case in common, so I disconnected that. I just shorted it. I shorted the pin instead. That's eliminated. The keyboard is, at least the keyboard's plugged in and nothing's lighting up. The only other thing I can think of is the power supply. The power supply seems to work okay, but is it causing issues? Is there something going on with this power supply? And yes, there is. I don't have the GPU plugged in. Alright, let's try that. So here we go again. I plugged in the GPU this time. They still have the power supply in common. I shorted it this time. and still nothing. So if I'm getting the same result without the case, I don't think it's the case. It could be either two motherboards that's mysteriously just not functioning correctly the whole time, or a bad power supply. Why me? Why me? Why me? I know the power supply over there works good. I got two more power supplies because I have I have the power supply in this build, and then I have the power supply on my personal PC that I know are both good and they're not causing issues. That's why I'm just likely gonna part this thing out. I think I'm just gonna part it out. I think it's just the way it is on this build. I don't like giving up either, but I don't want to keep throwing money at this because the specs are really pretty low considering today's specs, you know, when you take that into account, and prices for parts are high online. Everybody wants to scalp, and it's gonna make it where it's not worth it. Even if I fix it, eventually I'll fix it, and it's gonna make it to where it's not worth it. So I don't know, we'll see. And one more time, reset the CMOS without the GPU, just on integrated graphics, and we're still left without a pot to piss in. It's kind of weird because I've gotten this PC, this board, the last time it would boot from the integrated graphics and show an image, but not from the GPU. And I was going to try to test that in the BIOS, and now for some strange reason it's doing nothing. That is odd. Very, very odd. Last shot. I pulled out the battery this time for a longer period of time, and then hit the clear CMOS, and no GPU, just integrated graphics, and let's see if it does anything. So far, not even a keyboard light. I know the RAM's good because I bought that RAM brand new and it was running on my old PC, and that RAM used to work just fine on it. It is weird. You know, it does seem a little weird that I can't get a post. When I've gotten a post on HDMI before. Can't even get a keyboard and light. A keyboard light or a mouse light, nothing. And then when I did test this power supply with the power supply tester, it worked good. It said everything was getting normal values, everything was normal. So I'm kind of at a loss here. Not sure what to do anymore but part it out. Yeah, I'm done with it. That's it for this fucking build. It is frustrating because I've never had this happen before. This is the first time I've ever had. And you know, these parts are too old to keep around. So I know this is a B550, but there's got to be something wrong with it because this thing had things wrong with it from the beginning. Now it doesn't even want to boot at all, which is odd because it used to boot at least from the CPU. When there was integrated graphics. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss here. I know the power supply was the thing in common, but like I said, I tested it and it was fine. I think I'm just going to, yeah, from here on out, no more Gen 3 stuff. I know this is Gen 4 motherboard, but it's an old ass CPU. I think a Gen 2 CPU, a 2000 series CPU. the motherboard, even when I had a 3000 series CPU in there or a 5000 series CPU on here, it wouldn't boot from the graphics card at all. And I don't know, I've tried the process of elimination, you know. I feel like I don't want to give up, but putting more and more money at this thing just to see when it finally gives is not the answer, because then you can only sell this old stuff for only so much, especially with these specs. It's only gonna go for so much, and I can't go over break even and go negative trying to fix this thing. I gotta just let it go and part it out. But I am gonna trash the motherboards. I'm gonna ditch the motherboards because I know everything else works, and I'm just gonna part everything else out. It sucks because I just got that one, yeah, and that was a cheap motherboard, you know, and it was working until it bricked. Until it bricked trying to put Windows 11 on it and setting it up for Windows 11, which is weird. And this one used to run integrated graphics with Windows 11 on it, and you'll see in the videos, and I don't know what the issue is now, because not even this one wants to boot. CMOS battery? I don't think so. I mean, I could try, but I don't think that's it, because that's a brand new CMOS battery right there. I bought that thing brand new with the other one, and it was working this whole time. Sad. With the big build, I'm taking out the 3060 Ti, and I'm gonna take out that 16 gigabyte kit, and I'm gonna put the best of what I got in it. So I parted out those other PCs like I said I would. That's most of the parts there. Here's some more of the parts here, and I'm gonna part that one out, sell all the parts, give somebody a banger deal for it. But besides that, you know, let that be someone else's problem. Let them know what's going on with the motherboard, of course, or both motherboards. But besides that, this is a Gen 3 build. It's a Gen 3 board with an i7, and the older one, I think it's I can't recall. Look back in the video, but it still works pretty damn good. And I think 32 gigs will make it look better, because when I put the GTX 1660 in here, that one actually performed and held a steadier frame rate. It actually performed good, held a steady frame rate, versus the 3060 and the 3060 Ti. I tried both of those in here, and the frame rate was all over the place. And I think it's because this Gen 3 is bottlenecking the GPU, because the GPU is a Gen 4, you know, and it can't fully utilize all of the potential this thing has. So I'm gonna put the GTX 1660 Super back in there because it performed better anyway. 32 gigabyte kit. We're gonna turn this thing on and get it going, and we're gonna sell this one like the way it is. It's gonna be a good build. This one's a great build. It still came out good. There wasn't a lot of RGB in this one to begin with, besides the front fan, so I think it kind of goes with the theme. Yeah, I'm just gonna focus on getting this one ready to sell, and like you're gonna see right now, this thing's gonna post. It'll be just fine. It's got new RAM in there, so it's gonna take a minute. Oh, there it goes. See. So like I was saying, it's got yeah, I gotta redo it because it doesn't have a graphics driver in there right now because I switched the cards out. But like I was saying is, watch, when I get it all set up, I'll show you. But like, no problem with this one. That GTX 1660 Super is fine. That thing runs good in this machine. Where on the other build with those motherboards, everything was going haywire, and I don't understand why. Maybe the power supply had a part to play in that. Maybe not. We have yet to know. Look at, there's the screen. The screen kind of fixed itself a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna get with the updates on this one and get it ready to sell. And then I am gonna do this. So this Asus motherboard, like I said earlier in the video, it has a overclocking feature where it's gonna overclock the RAM and the CPU too, so I could test it out on Apex Legends. Here you go. You'll see it's all looking all crazy, but once it starts downloading the display driver for the GTX 1660. It's gonna fix itself. It's gonna look good. But yeah, this thing runs good. It's probably gonna run better with 32 gigs in it. Because the last time I tested it with the GTX 1660 Super, I put that 16 gigabyte kit in it. Now it's got 32. And then when it overclocks that 32, because this one runs, that kit runs at 3200 max, it's gonna run faster than the 16 gig kit. It's gonna be better performance. So yeah, let's wait for this to finish. So I always do clean installations. When I do my graphics drivers, I do clean installations. So I select the option for custom installation, and I select the option for clean install. That makes sure that there's no layering of these graphics drivers, so that there's no confusion on which graphics driver should be running. This thing's about to fix itself. Once that driver is installed and the screen starts turning off and on, it's gonna go ahead and fix itself and adjust itself to 1920 by 1080. There it is. Now you can see it fixed itself. It adjusted itself. It just finished installing everything. And then I'm gonna go ahead and open up the control panel, and you'll see the 1660 Super there. The control panel, GTX 1660 Super. And yeah, we're ready to start getting the rest. Make sure the system's up to date, and then put Steam on here. Already got Apex on here, and then we can start. This is that easy tuning wizard on the Asus motherboard I like. So it says that if I go with the easy tuning wizard, I'm gonna gain 36% increase on the CPU and a 28% up on the DRAM, which is good. You just go through the steps, and it tells you if it becomes unstable, you can always set to optimize defaults. I click yes, and it hasn't heard anything. So if we go into the, whether we go into BIOS or we go into Task Manager, you'll see the increase in speed. We are back in the PC Task Manager, the 8700K. The memory is running, I guess, at the speed it supports. The memory could actually run at 3200. Half terabyte. We're on Ethernet right now and got the GTX 1660 Super, but I'm just letting it auto overclock to whatever the system supports. If all I can do is push it to 2747, that's better than 2100. To do our last revisit with this PC, I have a referral client that wants to buy this PC. The last client I sold a PC I built had a great experience. So we're gonna upgrade this because they want the RTX 3060 Ti in there. And then we're gonna run some benchmarks to validate that everything's working great. So yeah, let's get that 3060. There it is with a 3060 Ti installed. The client wanted the a little bit more future proofed on this build, you know, so it can last longer. Because and then they want to get into FPS games on PC, so DirectX 12 Ultimate is only supported by 30 series cards or higher, so that's why this one was a must. Yeah, so this is a good build. I want to go ahead and put it back together and get the graphics drivers put back on for the 3060 Ti, and then run some benchmarks and yeah, see, have it ready for the client. Here it is. Here's another look at it with the 3060 Ti in there, and then of course I put my Fix Your Tech sticker in there. It says need help with your tech, call Fernando, and it has my phone number. My wife hooked those up, and it looks like it's got cascading code on there. That's why it looks kind of like that. It's got the cascading code. All right, so on some cases those stickers are really good, but yeah, that's the case basically. I got it cleaned up as best I could. I'm excited about it, about getting it to the client. Now I'm gonna set it up on my mini battle station here, and get it all up to date and benchmarked for this video. You can see that 3060 in there glowing, that Ti 3060 Ti, and we're right here in BIOS, and I'm gonna go ahead and reset it to defaults, and then go into Windows and start uninstalling the display. Back in BIOS, I want to run the easy tuning wizard to run the automatic overclocks. As you'll see right now, the RAM's running at 2133. It doesn't run too much higher, it runs at 27 something. You'll see right now. I think that's the limitation, because right here it's 30. It actually runs, the memory runs at 3200, but I think it's the limitation because of the maybe the CPU, because it's only gonna run to the optimal for the CPU, right? So, but yeah, I'm gonna use this again, and then I already did the graphics drivers clean installs, and then we're gonna see that. So you can see there it is. We're running XMP profile. And the speed that we're actually getting is 2747, which is fine. I mean, it's higher, and it's gonna be good for that i7 8700K. Yeah, now we're gonna go in there and I'll show you the graphics driver setup, and then we're gonna put software on here so we can benchmark NVIDIA control panel. My baby's still going crazy, and we got the 3060 Ti installed. And we're gonna get ready to benchmark it. So when we get to, let me open up task manager. So here we go. There's our CPU, our memory, the disk running on Ethernet, but they're probably gonna run it on Wi-Fi, but I'll let them know that Ethernet's better, especially for gaming. And our 3060 Ti. 8 gigabytes of VRAM, of course, on the 3060 Ti. It never has more than that. I've actually seen videos where people that know what they're doing, of course, have increased the VRAM on some of these 30 series models, and because I don't know how they do it, but they've got the skills to do it. And it's to show you the rig in the NVIDIA app that is reflected here with the 3060 Ti. And then now we're gonna open up Steam and install the benchmark software. Here's the software I was talking about. When we're gonna do our benchmark, I always use it, 3D Mark. So let's wait for it to finish installing, and then I'm gonna open it up and get to business. I just wanted to do a quick update while I was on it. The other PC, I ended up parting it out. All the parts sold except for the brick motherboards. Nobody wants them, so I'm probably gonna have to take them to be recycled. And then the GTX 1660, I'm gonna post that for sale, and hopefully that sells soon. And nobody wants the case, it's too cheap, so I might just give it away for free to somebody, maybe somebody that buys the GTX 1660. So then we got the power supply, and nobody's interested in that power supply, that brand. I don't know why, but I might just donate that too, because that's like a brand that it's not really a name brand that people like. People don't really, I don't know, nobody was interested, but that's fine. That's the update. Let's get this 3D Mark in. I'm gonna restart though. While 3D Mark is loading up, I'm not gonna record all of the benchmark, but I'm gonna get the numbers and everything at the end. Normally I record it. I use something like OBS Studio when I record, but I'm not gonna do any of that. I don't want to put any extra load on the PC. I want to see how it performs. Just no other applications running but the benchmark, so we can get like performance if the client decides to game on it, because they're likely not going to stream or record videos or any of that on the PC. So of course I'm going to go with on my benchmarks tab, I'm going to go with the Time Spy. Of course, that's the one I like to run. So I'm going to go ahead and run it, and I'll get the numbers when it's done. Let's run it, and then yeah, I'll get the numbers when it's done. A 3D Mark Time Spy is getting ready to run. I thought I'd throw that in there, but I told the client I'd throw in a gaming controller for PC for their son. Yeah, why not? They're putting their faith in me due to their friends have referred them to me, recommended me, and why not throw in a gaming controller? That would be cool. Well, yeah, here it goes. And when that's done, I'll get the numbers. Yeah, that looks like Mortal Kombat The Pit. That's so good. It's getting some good numbers on there. Given for this, that it's a, for Time Spy, it's holding pretty strong. Let's see how, let's get them numbers when it's getting ready for the CPU test, which is pretty cool. I think so. I've seen, since I've been running this with different CPUs, how it goes faster and smoother. You know what I mean? And when it's weaker CPUs, it's usually like laggier and slower, but this one's actually pretty damn quick and smooth for a 8th gen i7, which is cool. That thing is rolling, yeah. All right, well, let's see what the numbers look like. Talk about them numbers. Here's the results. We got above average performance, 10,809. Average is at 10,617. Best is at 12,565. That's probably because they're doing some custom overclocking on the same setup. Of course, they only compare this to the same setup. We did get a good score, so we'll scroll through the data. You'll see the 3060 Ti, i7 8700K, and you know, I'll scroll briefly through this stuff. But yeah, I think we got a good score. This is a good PC. So what I'm gonna do next is, because I don't really have time to be playing games on it, I could run a game of Apex to test it, see how many frames it gets, but I'm definitely going to recommend to the client a 1080p monitor for this setup, and go from there. I mean, I gotta reset the rig, so I'll probably do a hard reset. But before I do that, I always, for my clients, I always make a jump drive or a flash drive, and I put instructions on there for everything that they're gonna need to do. You know, it walks them through step by step how to set up this PC when they first get it, so that way they're not just stuck at a loss on what should I do. This is gonna be the last look at this PC. I don't have time to keep gaming on it. The client wants me to meet soon, so I got time. I'm gonna barely have enough time to do a reset to factory defaults, you know, factory settings, and have it ready for it to go, because it's gonna take at least an hour to do that. And yeah, we're going back to our open air rig, back on our setup, of course. But yeah, this is the last look. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you like my content. If you want to leave me comments, let me know what I can do differently, or what I can do better, or what I could have done better for this. Let me know. Stay blessed.